So, I have truly enjoyed this semester. There were so many things that I wasn't aware of, and now I know more than ever. Aside from the 2 books that we had to read during this semester, there were some guest speakers. The first guest speaker that we had was Bob Goldberg, who was a career counselor. The second guest speaker that we had was Anita Ford Saunders, who was a public relations practitioner. And then after that, we had Kristen Ferris, who was involved in event planning. And after Kristen Ferris, we had Dave Comides, who was one of the people I'm most interested in, as well as Kristen. And he had to do with TV production, and he also had to do with environment. The next guest after Dave Comides was Melanie Russell, and she talked about social media marketing, and she worked for a bank. I found that very interesting. Aside from Melanie, the next guest up after her was Russell Dunn, who was a journalist. And his take on the media world was different from everybody else. He basically cut straight to the truth, and he just described the work world. In his opinion, he didn't like ESPN, but he did enjoy traveling with the Celtics, and he enjoyed talking about his work within basketball and other sports. I thought he was pretty interesting. Aside from him was one of my favorites, Andy Bronstein. The reason Andy Bronstein is one of my favorites is because he already works at ESPN. And not only does he work here now, but he worked there for years before he left, and then he went back. So he basically has what you would call true on-hands experience within ESPN. He started working there at the beginning of ESPN when there was only one channel and it really wasn't world renowned. And now he works within the international part of ESPN, so he's seeing everything from all around the world. I just think that is so interesting. We had Kristen Ferris, who was involved in event planning.
Ferris Group is a family-owned business. My brother's in Raleigh, North Carolina, so we have an office there and here in Hartford, Connecticut.
It'll take a moment to come up.
Okay. It's a 4-pronged company, and by that I mean we have 4 different divisions, if you will. Events, sponsorship, promotions, and marketing. The other thing to note as we're going through this is we get most of our interns from Central. And I would say I've been in business since 2005, and I've probably had a half dozen to a dozen interns just from Central. So keep that in mind. It's usually for credit, and we tailor it to meet the student's needs. So if you're interested, you're going to want to get in touch with me afterwards. And as I also mentioned, the Caroline office is based in promotional items. We do more of the event sponsorship.
We had Dave Comides, who was one of the people I'm most interested in, as well as Kristen. And he had to do with TV production, and he also had to do with environment.
Operator Dave Comides. Now, Dave, with his Steadicam, he helps bring you into the visceral and moving world of ER. But often, the performance behind the scenes is much more exciting than the one in front.
NYU for film school, which was basically a complete waste of time, because film is one of those weird things where you learn by doing and not. You can learn stuff in a classroom, there's no question, but most of it has very little to do with what you actually do in the film industry. And unlike a lot of other professions, no one in the film industry cares why you can do what you do. They just care if you can do what you do. They don't care about, and I'm not saying don't go to school because school's great, but they're not interested in seeing your degree or you're this or you're that or the other. Which is why in my sophomore year of NYU, I actually got together with, what do they call you, Professor Walden?
They call me all kinds of things I don't even know what.
With that lady over there, with her son, who is one of my best friends, and another guy, and we drove this car that he had gotten, some Volare or something like that, across country, and I ended up hooking up with, because we needed a place to stay, we ended up staying with one of Jen's great friends, Julie Gibson, who we were just talking about, who happened to be working on the movie Tremors, if any of you ever saw that movie. A while back, but still a fun movie. Doing special effects. Actually, she knew the people doing special effects and said, hey, you should give this guy a job, and that's how I kind of got into the film industry, doing special effects, miniature special effects on Tremors. I went back to NYU for another year because I thought, well, I should go back to school. And during that year, realized, you know what, this is just a waste of time and money for me if I want to be in the film industry, because I should be doing instead of learning. And I left school. I moved out to LA and started working in special effects. So I did Tremors, this almost unknown movie called Clifford, which was about with Martin Short, and just like he played a kid. It was really kind of stupid, but it had a cool special effects sequence in it that we did. And then the last special effects thing that I did was Terminator 2, which was obviously a huge thing. We had a pretty cool time with that. And then I met a guy who was using one of these crazy things called a Steadicam, and sort of a light bulb went off, and I said, that's what I want to do.
The class had 2 books that I found to be very interesting. The first book was Boxing Plato's Shadow, and that book dealt with our ancestors in an earlier time within the world. And I believe that that book has offered me a sense of how the communication started within our species. I mean, before school had started in the earlier times, there really wasn't any way of learning, and with the involvement of communications began college, and I think that's very important. I think that this book has offered a sort of explanation for how what we are all interested in came about, and I think that's very important. The second book that we use throughout the semester is Outliers, written by Malcolm Gladwell. And this book has to do with certain stories that have to do with what type of year you were born, if you were born within a rich family, where you lived, how you grew up, and how much you paid attention to your homework or how much you pursued a goal you have for yourself. I think this book gave a lot of varieties of different people, different times, different places, and different circumstances within a person's life. And this book has given me so many different situations that I could look upon myself and figure out that, life isn't always easy. And even if you are smart, that doesn't mean that you're going to go to college and become the next genius. But if you really want to do something with yourself, you can, because the possibility is up to your own self. And I think that this book has allowed me to see that if you want to do something with yourself, the only way you can do it is to get up and do it. That's basically it. There's no handouts. If you want to be something in the world, you have to work hard, become dedicated, take the time and the patience, and then you will get it. Life isn't always easy, but if you really want to succeed in life, then take the time to succeed. Our field trip took place at the exhibit in the Arts Center, and we looked at paintings done in regards to Hurricane Katrina. I thought that all the paintings that were on the wall were very unique in their own ways, and I myself took pictures of the ones I thought were the best. I thought this field trip was great because it gave us a chance as a class to interact with each other and discuss what we thought about the situation. This isn't an easy situation. Hurricane Katrina destroyed many lives and many families, and being able to stand there and see it was a very emotional situation, but I think overall it was good for our class to be involved with it. I also think this field trip was interesting because it gave me a chance to see something I would normally not have seen. It offered me a chance to observe a pain from Hurricane Katrina through colors in paint instead of through words, and I don't think that a pain like that can be expressed through words. It's pretty much sight. I think each painting that we had a chance to see was unique in its own way, and I feel very confident that the painters who painted it got the message across to all of us. It's not easy having to paint something like that, but being able to express yourself with art in that way is something so beautiful, and I just feel like I'm very lucky to be a part of that and to have seen that. It was a beautiful exhibit, and I hope I get a chance to see one like that again. I myself am very interested in a position at ESPN, and after I graduate, I plan on trying to pursue a career there. I am going to try my best to get an internship within the next year or so. I'm looking to try to get one next summer, probably, and try to weasel my way through the door so I can land a career in a worldwide sports, because it's just amazing. If you have a passion for sports and you have a passion for creativity, then this is the place to be. And I feel that I have both of those things. I know along with that, with my education and my own passion, that I can do very well within this career. I'm not sure exactly what field I want to go into, but I'm considering the graphics department of ESPN because I already have a multimedia and graphic design degree. I'm also considering the production part of it because I do have some experience in that as well. So I think if I gain some more experience and put some more notches on my belt and resume, that it will be pretty easy for me to land a position within the endless world and opportunities of ESPN. That is my goal as well as my dream, and I plan on making it come true to the best of my ability. The first step that I am taking to pursue my career within ESPN is the internship, and after that, I'm going to be looking to land a full-time position at ESPN. So I am very satisfied with this course overall. It has allowed me to figure out where I want to be within the world, and now that I know where I want to be, it's my goal to make sure that it happens. I can only rely on what I put myself out to do, and I'm very excited. And I hope that all the hard work pays off one day and that I do land a position at ESPN and that I'm doing something I enjoy doing. This has been a great semester.